No. It's bad enough having to sit through these adverts at the end of every What Culture video, so we're certainly not going to sit through them at the start of a What Culture video. Certainly not one of the most popular What Culture videos, the videos belonging to this sick guy. And anyway, while we're discussing WCPW, I am insulted that I wasn't even asked to be on the commentary team for True Destiny. Instead, the powers that be here at What Culture got somebody called JR. Who the is JR, WWE Hall of Famer, to get put into that house of a Hall of Fame? You just need to be thrown in by some billionaire with a bastard agenda. Me, though, I was voted your WCPW Commentator of the Year for 2016. Voted for by you, Marks. Marks loved me. A billionaire with an agenda loves JR. Ah! Play the real bastard intro. It's John O'Tug, my cock maggle. It's John O'Blart in my sock maggle. JBL likes big muscular women. 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 JBL having a tummy tug while the wrestling's on. Each to their own, eh? What a weird bastard. Here are all the WTF moments from NXT Takeover San Antonio, you bunch of dirty King Marks. Just before the Ty Dillinger and Eric Young match, we hear somebody clearly telling Percy Watson to say. He wasn't asking him, he was telling him. This unnamed man who we couldn't see said this, and then Percy, who we couldn't also see, because, you know, you don't film a commentary team, do you? He repeated the exact same sentence. And by the way, the hook of this Ty Dillinger versus Eric Young match is really f***ing stupid. IMO. Oh, you won't wear my jacket? Let's have a duel. But was it just me, or did this unnamed man off camera sound like he had a couple of things impeding his speech at the front of his mouth, if you know what I mean? To me, they sounded like a pair of massive f***ing front chompers. That's right, motherfuckers. Kevin Dunn has a twin. He's called Kelvin, and he's a bastard beaver. Dun, dun, dun. Why the f*** have the Authors of Pain turned up to NXT Takeover San Antonio looking like Lydia from the film Beetlejuice? My life is like a dark room. One big dark room. Right then, who else noticed at the end of the match when the Authors of Pain, in what is a little bit of a WTF moment, captured the NXT Tag Team Championships, that Paul Ellering had a fully blown newspaper in his back pocket? Why? Way! Now it can't be the Book of Pain that Paul had during the build-up to this match, because that was big and black and deep and wide. This thing was like a literal newspaper, you know, the thing that the guy on the bike, he goes past your house and he hides it at your window. What a little c***. And since Paul looks like a Scooby-Doo villain that's just been unmasked, we can only assume that the newspaper is kept there to beat away those meddling f***ing kids. Or Mark, as I like to call them. Is it just me, or would Vince McMahon himself pay $9.99 a month to see big sweaty men laying the smacketh down on two smaller indie darlings? I think he would, which is a little bit ironic, don't you think? It's like, right! Conversely, we pay $9.99, us smarks on the internet, we pay $9.99 for this network to see the smaller indie guys beat on the traditional WWE guys. Swings and roundabouts, a circle of life, isn't it lovely? Don't you think? It's like, right! There was an advert aired during Takeover showing some new game that had Jerry the Fake King Lawler's voice over the top of it, therefore I didn't really pay attention. Anywho, that picture there of Dean Ambrose, how many ducats? Not clickbait ducats though, he played hard-earned ducats, the f***ing idiot. Get these clickbait ones, it's really f***ing easy. Hardware, baby. How many ducats did Dean Ambrose pay the developers of this game? I can't remember what the name of it is. For that head of hair. We all know Dean's getting baldy, that's why he's got that lunatic fringe that covers his receding hairline that must start around about there. How do we know this? Because every day I look through Dean's bathroom window and it takes him longer and longer to wash his face, because his face gets longer and longer because his hairline goes further and further back. Jokes. I mean, I'm not saying you're going balding, you baldy bastard, but it'd be easier to find Waldo than it would be to find your hairline. Jokes, content hits, clickbait. Wait. Seth freaking Rollins, it only took the thick 5 and a bit months to realise that if you wanted Triple H, all he had to do was to rock up to NXT, where Triple H is God. Not only did he create British wrestling, Triple H created developmental wrestling within WWE. God. God almighty, man. God. But then again, I suppose Seth taking this long to realise what he had to do to get to Triple H isn't really a WTF moment, because as we all know, as those series of pictures on the internet have shown us, Seth's brain is located deep within his cock. If I was Seth with me brain, me actual head brain, located in a different head on my body, what I would have done was created a rival to 205 Live to get Triple H's attention, to bait him in to come in to see you. Of course, if Seth was to do this, it would be called Room 605 Live. What Seth would do, he would sext Triple H, tell him to come along to Room 605, seduced God almighty himself. And then when he got there, Triple H Randy wanting some Seth love, Seth would beat the shit out of him with his erect penis, which always seems to be erect. Erect penis. Penis, penis, penis. God. Penis. What was the point in that second table up by the announcer's desk which Nikki Cross went through? WTF. I mean, there was no other chairs for any guest commentators to sit on, and there certainly wasn't an episode of WWE SmackDown Live where 100,000 commentators all compete to have their voice heard in front of an audience of millions. It's almost as if that table was put there with the sole intention of putting some barn-crazy Scottish lass through it. Wrestling's scripted, isn't it? 100,000 announcers with David Otunga's glazed over eyes burning a hole into your soul. WCPW original Tyler Bate. Yes, we brought the wrestling world Tyler Bate, and you marks all know it. Looks like IRS Erwin R. Shyster during his teenage years, where he would listen to Depeche Mode, try not to make his flammable pants catch fire while grooving, you know, the chafing and the rubbing and the flames. That's what happened in the 80s if you were young and wore shell suit trousers with a dress vest, the shirt, who knows. Another WTF moment within this WTF moment is the appearance of internet darling and weed enthusiast Matthew Riddle. Matthew Riddle, who did not have a massive f***ing bifter in his hands, but a pint of beer instead. That itself, if you know his past with the ban and the blah-de blah-de-blah, the UFC and the toot-blah-blah, is a WTF moment. What's that? You didn't know Matthew Riddle has already had a WWE tryout? Well, now you do. Huge scope from King Ross. Hiya there, how you doing? Those pricks that work for WCPW left us with one camera and one battery. One battery with a quarter of its battery left. They took the charger for some reason, therefore we can't recharge the battery, which has just run out. F*** WCPW, hard in the arse. F*** it. Don't ask me to commentate that. It turns out when you run a wrestling promotion, you take away all the equipment, so the mug who brings in the most hits, dresses up like a f***ing tit, gets forgotten about. I am sick to f***ing death of being an afterthought round here. Lack of f***ing priority, whatculture.com. I will stop doing this if you don't treat me with the respect I f***ing deserve. Hey, anyway. Point number 10. The biggest money match in NXT history is how the match between Bobby Roode and Shinsuke Nax was billed. Bull fucking shit in my opinion. We go back to NXT Takeover Brooklyn 1. We see Finn Balor against Kevin Owens in front of a bigger crowd with two bigger names than Bobby Roode. Maybe on par, maybe just a little bit bigger than Shinsuke Nax. No. Probably not, but certainly bigger than Bobby. And then we go to Brooklyn a year later when Shinsuke Nax takes on Samoa Joe in front of that bigger crowd with a bigger name than Bobby Roode, in my humble opinion, in Samoa Joe. And surely that is a bigger money match than Roode versus Nax. Yes? I know it plays into the delusional character of Bobby Roode, but you know, if I read into everything, there would be no WTF moments. I have to take everything literally so I can pick it apart. Yeah! Like a priority. Fuck off. Me sideways and call me Betty. Hasn't the whole train gone up market? It's more like an upper tier executive call girl aeroplane, you know, because aeroplanes are better than trains. Or maybe supercars. The executive call girl supercar. Anyway, they're wearing fancy frocks that, you know, you look at it, it's comparable to The Godfather, isn't it, back from the Attitude Era? That's why I'm saying these things. These things, that'll probably trigger certain people out there, but you know, what's a man to do? Hey, if you don't like the size of that shit on, try this one on for size. Bobby Roode's entrance, complete parody, or copy, it's just a copy. He's a blatant copycat. Keep off your catchphrase. A blatant copycat of Ric Flair from his NWA days when he took on Ricky the Dragon Steamboat in I think 1989 for the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. Bare women, more women than Roode's got there as a matter of fact, which makes Roode's worse than Flair's 28 years later. Surely, 28 years later, you want to make it better and bigger, but no, they've gone smaller. WTF. Bobby Roode wins WTF. That's it, WTF. Bobby Roode wins. Nobody saw that coming, did they? And let's just think about things logically for a second. Shinsuke Nax had a devastating knee injury. It looks like he's going to have his leg amputated. It was that bad. He will not be in the Royal Rumble. Him dropping the NXT Championship does not confirm he will be in the Royal Rumble. He's injured. If that devastating injury, which made him lose the belt to Roode in the first place, healed in 24 hours, that injury would be proved to be phony. And he dropped the NXT Championship on purpose, the naughty little bastard. You had one job, shithead. Bobby Roode is glorious, not glorious. One job, shithead. And that's it for all your WTF moments from WWE NXT Takeover San Antonio. I'll see you for tomorrow for the Rumble of the Royals. But I'm not in it because I'm too royal. Fuck off. Fuck WCPW.